Good morning, everyone. Nonnie here. First, I want to thank your teacher for allowing me to come into your classroom and share my Appalachian Trail experience with you. I am so excited to have you along on this journey with me. So I hope that you will get something out of it and that it will be exciting and interesting for you to learn about. Um, First of all, the Appalachian Trail. The Appalachian Trail is different every year in mileage. So one year it may be a few miles less, one year it may be a few miles more. And the reason for that is because the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, the ATC, you'll hear that often whenever I speak in my videos. The ATC decides to close off certain sections of the trail if they find that the vegetation and the biodiversity is being affected by the number of hikers that are coming through, that it's destroying the habitat area, or a certain bird or species has been found in that area and needs to be protected. They will close off that section and reroute that portion of the trail a different way. Sometimes that shortens the overall mileage of the Appalachian Trail through hike experience, and sometimes it lengthens it. For the year of 2022, and I'll teach you this. So when you get ready to hike, there are classes, and when you hiked in 2022, you were called the class of 2022. I'm in the class of 2023, and my hiking experience will begin shortly. I'm not going to give you the exact date because typically we don't share that information with anybody. It's a safety issue, and I'm sure that you can understand that. But for the class of 2022, it was 2,193.4 miles. I believe that's correct. For the class of 2023, it is 2,198.3 miles. And so it's a little bit further. They closed off some section of the trail somewhere and it made it a little bit longer. That's okay. Now, when you think about the Appalachian Trail, you think 2,100 and however many miles. You're going to walk that whole way? Yep. Yippers, I'm going to try and do my very best. But what you really need to think about as well is it's really not 2,100 and however many miles. You actually have to add a few hundred miles onto that. And the reason why is because when you are walking on the trail, you actually have to walk off trail to come into a town for resupply, and then you have to walk back onto trail to get back to the trail to begin back on the AT. You also come off trail to be able to go to shelter areas, to sometimes to water sources, and that mileage adds up. Sometimes it's several hundred miles more than that. That's okay. That's part of the journey. It's part of the experience. Now, when you get ready to hike the AT, it's through 14 states. And you start in Georgia, you go through Georgia, North Carolina. I hope I'm going to get all of these right. You start in Georgia and you end in Maine. And, you hike when it is sunny, you hike when it is windy, cold, hot, icy, snow, rainy. You hike in those conditions, and you have to have the proper gear to be able to hike and do that. Some people take what is called a zero, and so we are going to go through some hiker terms later, but I'll explain just this one: zero and Nero. If you've been hiking and you find you need to come off trail for resupply, and that's going to be in my hiker terms that I share with you in another video, you come off trail, you can take a zero. And what that means is that's 0 miles that you accomplished that day on the AT. You came into town for a resupply, you spent the night, you spent the whole next day, and maybe the next night you took a 0 away from the trail. A Nero is where you come off trail, maybe you spend the night, but the next day, the next morning, you get up and you go on ahead and start the trail again. That's called a Nero. So Neros and zeros, there are a lot of terms to learn, and they're fun. They're a lot of fun to learn. They're interesting. I just wanted to introduce myself to you, explain to you what the AT was, and tell you that as you are traveling along the AT, you meet a lot of wonderful, eclectic, interesting, amusing individuals. You can hike alone, you can hike in a group, and there are terms for all of those different things. And so, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. And one of the things that you'll learn about me is I always say, come on, let's go hike with me. And so, come on, let's go hike with me. And you take good care, and I'll see you in the next video.